this week on our Neuroside Partners weekly webinar.
Okay.
So Linda, I do have a question for you. I'm a consumer of social media, like many of us are. It's changed the landscape in the past 5, 10, 15 years. But I do say with some of social media, it seems like this it indicates that a lot of times for young women, specifically young women of color, that they have to be suggestive in the way they dance, even the way they just take a picture. When it comes to your platform and the work you do as far as working with specifically young women of color, and the arts that you mentioned, specifically ballet and dance and hip hop, how do you perceive? How do you look at this suggestive way that some of our young women are taught to dance? Is there an alternative to that? Is there a better way? Is that good for our young ladies to be learning how to suggestively dance in a certain way? What's your thoughts on that?
Welcome to Near West Side, Milwaukee's finest community. A great place for you and your family to learn and grow, to have stability, and truly to love the people. We strive to have the best place to live, to learn, to love. So we are called the neighborhood of neighborhoods. Please follow, like, and subscribe.
Hello, I'm Keith Stanley, Executive Director of the Neuroside Partners, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. I've known Linda for many, many years. We connected when I worked for Western Development Corporation, which was in the Near West Side, and I'm so glad to be talking to her today about some of the great work she's doing with this amazing organization. Linda, can you introduce yourself, who you are, your role, and your organization?
I am Linda Wade, the president of Above the Clouds. We provide free classes in the arts for children ages 5 through 17, and we just celebrated our 20-year anniversary. Woohoo!
20 years, I think City on the Hill just celebrated its 20 years. Did you guys start around the same time with City on the Hill?
Correct. Yes.
Wow. The vision, God gave vision to everybody.
He really did.
How did you get started? Why did Above the Clouds get started?
I was asked to join Dance Eternal, which was a Christian dance company back in 1995. And the director, Kim Brenner, asked me, did I want to go into the women's prisons in Texas? And I said yes. And so I started going into the women's prison. So we would go to death row, we go to general population and protective custody. And I always asked the ladies, how did they get to this point? And they would talk about, things that happened to them as children, or them making stupid mistakes as young adults. And I was coming back from a prison ministry trip saying, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do with this vision you gave me? And we were over the clouds, and that's when we got our name. And it comes from Isaiah 55:9, where it says, my ways are higher than your ways, my thoughts higher than your thoughts. So I landed, called Barb Melsheimer, who's our co-founder, told her what I wanted to do, and we just put it into place.
Let's talk about your location. You're currently, I believe, at Greater Galilee. I think that's near Titonia and
North.
Titonia North. Just a block north, I think, of Titonia North.
Right.
Why in the city of Milwaukee? Why near Titonia North?
We always been in the heart of the city. All of our sites, from the city on the hill to when we were in New Beginnings Apostle to the Hope Youth and Family Center. So we knew we had to expand, and we had 4 offers from different places to partner with them. And when Pastor White came to and he told us his vision, if you come. So we did. We moved our main site here right on Titonia, in the heart of Lindsay Heights, and we just took it from there. Now our other classes are at the Strong Milwaukee Center on East Center, at Eastbrook Academy, and at New Beginnings Are Possible.
Regarding your location, you're inside of a church, Greater Galilee.
No.
Oh, no?
We're not inside the church. No, the church is next door to us. No, they just built the community center is called Greater Life Community Center, which is next to Greater Galilee Church. No, we purposely keep our programs out of the churches because we want to draw people in that might not know about Christ. And we don't want to, if you put your program in specific churches, people think that that's your denomination. And since we are all over, and even though we are a Christian arts program, we want people to feel comfortable coming into our program.
Why art? What is significant about art, and what's significant about the youth? You know, maybe there's another demographic, or maybe there's another strategy. Maybe it's sports. So why art and why youth?
Art lets you express yourself in a way that words cannot, sports cannot. You can become somebody else as a dancer, as an actor, as a singer, as a pianist, as a martial arts performer. You can also learn more about other people around you when you're doing that because art does not happen in isolation. You take each part of it and you start building this beautiful picture that describes that moment. And so from dance to theater to all the arts, it helps the children. And why children? Because we want to reach them before they become adults. We want to make sure that they have every opportunity to have a better life. A lot of, especially with this pandemic, a lot of families are going through a lot, and they have the children come to a place where they feel safe and there's no judgment. It doesn't matter if you're in Brown Deer, or if you're in the heart of the city, or if you're in Mequon, we're all the same. It doesn't matter what skin color you are. Our arts program has a multiracial component. And so we make sure that the children can learn that art, but they can learn it in an atmosphere that's conducive to them learning it. And so we really make sure that this is something that they want to do and let them do as many as they can. And the God's word says to raise up a child in the way that they shall go, so they shall not depart. And so we want to let them know that, what you are a child of God. There's nothing that's impossible or too hard that you can't do.
So just three more questions. I know we've always talked about this. I've known you for quite some time. What are your thoughts as far as your strategies and being able to work with the youth in arts regarding, frankly, I would consider a pandemic of itself, as many of children of color suffer from low self-esteem, whether it comes from trauma, abuse, not thinking they're not, they don't have good hair, or they're too dark, or they're too light, or they're too short, or they're too big, or too tall, or whatever the case may be. Can you articulate how your services, your program offerings help the youth when it comes to low self-esteem?
So we make sure that, I'll give you an example, like our classical ballet. You don't have to be a twig to take the class. Actually, a lot of our students are not the typical body shape for ballet. We want to let them know that regardless of what the world says that you should look like, that's not the case here at Above the Clouds. You can do what, any medium that you want to try. Don't let the way you look or what people say to you hinder you from doing what you dream. So if you want to be an artist, if you want to be a singer, if you want to be an actor, if you want to be a dancer, we don't let how you look hinder that. We have a lot of children, African-American children, coming from single family homes, or the grandparents are raising them. And we want them to know that, circumstances does not dictate what you can do in life. Yeah, I mean, out of all of our medium, the one that most families pick is a classical ballet. But, when I studied ballet, I was the only African-American in my class. And so we don't want this to be something that the children can experience, and so we make sure that, we reach out to families and say, try this, this might be something that your children would love, and let them know that, yes, it was birthed through a French or Caucasian European society, but that's not necessarily the case now. There's beautiful ballerinas, outside of Mitzi Copeland, there's Michelle Dupree, who is even darker skinned than Mitzi is. And, when she gets on the stage, is just amazing. Lauren Anderson, who's with the Houston Ballet, who is an amazing, she runs a company now. And it's just to let our children see that don't let the skin color hinder you from what you're doing.
Now, this is a two for one here. The first question is the future of Above the Clouds, and then for those who are interested, who may be hearing this, who want to know how do I have a child that I'm interested, and if you can't wrap in that, what if they don't have the funds, or what if they don't have the transportation? So the future, but then your service offerings for those who may be interested.
So the future of Above the Clouds, we currently, we are just expanding into Texas. We are excited about that. We are going to be starting in 2022, servicing the children with 50% are the children with incarcerated parents. But we're also expanding here in Wisconsin as well. We have 5 sites currently. We run between 5 and 9. The pandemic kind of pushed some of the sites back and they're waiting. But we want to continue to grow and to, reach as many children to let them know that this is something that you can do. Our classes are free, so there's nothing for the parents to pay for. Everything is free. We provide everything. So the ballet students, once they get to level 2, get their tights and shoes. Martial arts, once they get to a certain level, get their gis. Same with jazz and tap. That way, we're all the same, and nobody feels left out because they couldn't afford it.
Is there a website, or where can people go to get more additional information?
They can go to abovethecloudsmilwaukee.com, and they'll see on our website a host of information about our classes, our teachers, our board, our sites. And then we do have a Facebook page, LinkedIn, and Twitter too. So, but our website is the best place to go because they'll give you everything you need to know. And they can also reach out to us via email or calling us at 414-344-3019.
So Linda, I do have a question for you. I'm a consumer of social media, like many of us are. It's changed the landscape in the past 5, 10, 15 years. But I do say with some of social media, it seems like this indicates that a lot of times for young women, specifically young women of color, that they have to be suggestive in the way they dance, even the way they just take a picture. When it comes to your platform and the work you do as far as working with specifically young women of color, and the arts that you mentioned, specifically ballet and dance and hip hop, how do you perceive? How do you look at this suggestive way that some of our young women are taught to dance? Is there an alternative to that? Is there a better way? Is that good for our young ladies to be learning how to suggestively dance in a certain way? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that, and I don't have anything against these dance companies that want to do that, but we purposely, if you're taking a hip hop class, you're not going to drop it like it's hot with us. You're not going to be grabbing on yourself. Young men are not going to do that, tongue hanging out, none of that. Ballet students, whether it's modern, because we are a Christian arts education program, we want the children, yes, to study the art form, but to let them know that they don't have to lower their standards to do so. I think as young women and young men that we need to so God said, present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable and pleasing. You don't want to present yourself to the world as a young girl that's into all these fleshly things. And that's the only word I can think of right now is the fleshly things, because we're more than that. I think society has pictured African American young boys and girls as that's all we can do. Is if we're not playing basketball, if we're not actors, then we're going to do dances and stuff that might look like a child is actually having sex at a 5 and 6 and 7 year old age. And we're more than that. We're much more than that. And we as parents and guardians and counselors and mentors need to tell our children that you can aspire up to something more than that.
Linda, that is so good to hear. I don't want to be the only one, or maybe I'm dating myself as I look at my generation, but I just think that when I see that on social media, I love the term you use. We're more than that. We're more than just what's presented on some of the social media.
Yes.
Linda, as we wrap this up, is there anything else that you would want to say about Above the Clouds that you want people to know about?
Is that we are always looking for more children, especially children of color, to experience our classes. We want them to know that, you don't have to worry about your economic status or where you come from. that you can just go on our website and sign up. It does fill up fast. And so we're into our fall schedule now, but our next semester starts in 2022 of January. And that we want to just show the love of Christ to all the children that we can.
Linda, thank you for taking the time out today. I'm hoping that we'll be able to record everything. I know the internet wasn't that stable. And if we have to do it again, we do it again, because it's always great talking to you and learning more about Above the Clouds and what you're doing. And congratulations on 20 years.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you so much for just letting us share our story.
Welcome to Near West Side, Milwaukee's finest community. A great place for you and your family to learn and grow, to have stability, and truly to love the people. We strive to have the best place to live, to learn, to love. So we are called the neighborhood of neighborhoods. Please follow, like, and subscribe.